Aloha and welcome. This is Subnatica, and I'm Panther. This episode is going to be mostly reading, so you've been warned. Okay. So first off, let's look through these. Still working on the nuclear reactor. Do not attempt to overclock reactor. Ideal energy-intensive operations such as self-sufficient colonies supporting more than 20 people, industrial outposts. No, it can't be in here. The E stand-up thing I can't do. Okay, research staging, housing, life specimen. Public documents. The long-standing family-run clan that operates almost a dozen mining and trading operations. Not interested. I'll stand up for stuff like this. If I remember correctly, sitting down doesn't eat up my food and water. Uranite is a naturally occurring uranium oxide, highly radioactive and unstable. Primary use is production of uranium rods for nuclear generation. Applications in nuclear power. There. Time capsule. Godspeed. Good luck to whoever finds this. I'm gonna have to put something together for the time capsule. Indigenous life form. This is what's gonna take most of the episode up. Let's look at the flora first. Exploitables. Acid mushroom. Common spore-bearing fungi species. The flesh contains a highly acidic compound which leaches into the water if the outside skin is penetrated. It is not clear which predator species... What was that? Necessitates such an extreme countermeasure, but the acid mushroom's number suggests that it successfully deterred most of them. Assessment. Inedible, acid has applications in battery fabrication. Blood vine. This species of kelp grows in sparse corpses. Ooh, deep on the ocean floor. What's that sound? Provide shelter for an array of distinct flora and megaflora. Or fauna and megafauna. Ooh. Survival at these depths is challenging, and the life forms which make their homes here have developed unusual coping mechanisms, including bleaching of the skin pigment, dependency on natural occurring metals and oils to adjust to temperature and pressure, and in some cases even electrical defense mechanisms. The vibrant red oils which seep from the blood vine coagulate into a semi-hard pustules which frequently fall loose and form vital foodstuffs for a local ecosystem, or otherwise reabsorbed into the ground over time. Edible high water content. Chinese potato is common throughout Chinese territories, which synthetic foods are still stigmatized. I mispronounced that word, I am sorry. And remain large tracts of arable land on which to grow fresh produce. Genetically designed prior to the expansion, this plant is highly adaptable to different environments and a staple of new colonies galaxy-wide. Assessment, edible. Derp. Creep vine. A kelp species concentrated in large forests, in shallow, sandy waters. Loose roots anchor the plant to the sea floor from where it grows steadily towards the surface in pursuit of sunlight. Its The stem is fibrous and rich in iron, making it both a viable base material for fabrication textures as well as a basic foodstuffs. Vital alien resource. Edible construction applications. Creep seeds. Mature creep plants have survived the predation of small herbivores that have survived. Produce these bioluminescent seed clusters, which may be knocked loose by currents or consumed and later deposited by predators. The embryo is surrounded by a thick oil and silicon layer. Oh, okay. Which would disperse into the ground as the outer skin deteriorated. This may provide the seedling with nutrients it needs to survive the low light conditions of the bed. Vital area, alien resource, construction applications. Deep shroom. A discolored relative of the ashen mushrooms, adapt to low light conditions. Considerably more acidic than its shallow dwelling cousin, it may have applications in advanced fabrication. Gel sac. I'm really curious on this one. These organic structures grow on cave walls. The purple sacs, which arise from the surface, contain a low-density gel laced with spores. These burst from time to time, floating towards the surface and attaching onto the next rock surface or rock's face they encounter. Each gel sac is edible. While the gel sac is edible, the low density renders it invaluable for advanced construction material. Aerogel construction applications. Lantern tree. Edible in an emergency. Or all the time. High water content. Land. Fern plant. This species was first identified in an artificial grow bed on the island. It is not listed in existing floral databases, so it is unclear whether or not it is a native to this planet. Genetic code shares features of other local plant life, but this may be a result of DNA transfusion rather than natural evolution. Pink cup, land-based fungus species which harvest with harvestable spores, inedible. A brittle land plant containing large spores which generate a characteristic rattle when the plant is shaken. This may act to ward off predators or even encourage predators as a means of spreading the spores. C, and these are not exploitable. Anchor pods. Ooh, these things. These unusual flora specimens have been encountered exclusively on the deep reefs. They consist of large spherical gas-filled membrane anchored to the sea floor by its root system. At these depths, it's unlikely that this structure is designed to enhance access to sunlight, but rather the pod's ability to procreate. Once the pods attain sufficient height, they burst, releasing spores which catch the currents and disperse around the local area. Blue palm. Sorry, need something to drink. Blue palm is an aquatic plant which thrives in shallow waters with high exposure to sunlight. Long phloids intercept light before it can reach the smaller flora on the seabed, i.e. it's a bitch. But these used to be called Kush. I know why they changed it though. Bulb bush. This aquatic species has evolved to grow deep in the deep sandy environments and converse its hydrogen level against the relatively extreme external pressure or temperatures. The root system can fragment slate rock it grows on to form a deep anchor point, allowing predators to graze but not easily uproot the entire plant. This grazing will tend to dislodge parts of the plant, each section capable of growing into a fully formed adult plant, explaining the concentrations of bulb bushes in some parts of the world. Cave bush, a purple, luminescent species which grows well on hardy terrain away from sunlight. Group stingers. 0 photocentric cells detected. Implies a carnivorous adaptation to low-life environments. Follicles along the tentacle are capable of detecting contact with foreign bodies, triggering an electromagnetic charge of 600 watt range. Prey is likely paralyzed and consumed over many weeks. Prey, small fish. Assessment, avoid. FYI, these can destroy your sea moth. Eye stalk. A cave-dwelling tuber dotted with luminescent photosensitive eyes. These eyes may in some way direct the twisted growth of the stems themselves, possibly in reaction to other light sources, proximity of cave walls, or other environmental conditions. Okay. Pleural papyrus. The function of this decorative curled leaves on this aquatic plant is not immediately clear. It is possible the leaves unfurl in low light conditions, or that they are designed to channel water currents through the main body of the plant, and thus enhancing nutrient take-up. Okay. Gabe's feathers. This plant grows almost exclusively in deep waters, where its hand-like leaves have evolved to filter sediment from the environment. It is likely dependent on the extremes of fauna populating the water above and around it. Giant bulb bush. This vast plant is centuries old. While it dominates the surrounding area, a complex root system below the surface connects it to the other bulb bush area. Nutrient flow within this network suggests the giant bulb is adapted to feed the weaker bushes and keep the forest healthy. It's a variant of the mangrove tree. Jelly shroom. Okay, this gets into something I'm interested in. A life form unique to a microsystem located in the cave system deep within the grassy plateaus, right below where we are. A high concentration of carnivorous life forms ward off smaller predators. Consists of a tough trunk-like base which grows a fragile purple membrane. Membrane construction suggests vulnerable to predation, but evidence therefore is lacking. Unknown defense mechanisms, possible symbiotic relationship, predators none identified. The membrane tree. This entity defies net categorization. It consists more of one coral species working in tandem to create more than one coral species working in tandem to create an isolated microsystem enclosed within a translucent membrane, found exclusively growing on basalt rock in the Grand Reefs. The hemocentric conditions within are considered warmer and more dense with microbial life. Spadefish and cuttlefish hatched. Mercurial life than outside environment, and the bright purple fauna inside will likely die off quickly if exposed. Cool. Redwort. A common plant adaptable to many environments. The redwort is a staple plant of the diet of many smaller herbivores. Regress shell. This specimen is composed of complex series of regression rings connected by tendrils. Oh, okay. Rouge cradle. A complex cave-dwelling flora specimen. The bright yellow core of this plant is protected by rigid cage, presumably to ward off medium-sized herbivores. Spiked horn grass. While it shares a close genetic similarity to bloodgrass, this species has evolved to house its root system in rigid horn-shaped enclosures. Spotted dockleaf. A simple aquatic plant. Chemicals within the leaves act like a natural acts to neutralize poisons and acids found in other local specimens, thereby actively encouraging predation by herbivores, albeit in small quantities. This ensures the plant both spreads its seed and retains enough surface area on its leaves to survive itself. The tree leech. Parasitic fungus-like growth attached to other life forms. An enzyme released by the organism which dissolves a hole in the skin of the host, which leaves it from which it leaches nutrients directly. Outer tooth-laying jaw serves no identified purpose. May be used during a different stage of the organism's life cycle. Exploitable fungal enzymes. Veined nettle. A common, shallow plant which frequently shows signs of predation around the edges of the leaves. Thick violet veins carry nutrients from excrements of the fan. And bright colored seeds grow around the base and stem. I.e. nothing. Violet bureau. Common luminescent plant which grows in patches on the seabed. Raving reed. Well adapted in both shallow and cave systems. This plant lives in symbiosis with coral species from which it... Okay, then why don't you have a picture of it? Alright, on to the fauna. I didn't say this was going to be a short episode. So yay. We've got the biter. A vicious pack hunting predator. 94% muscle, 4% connective tissue, 2% brain. Indiscriminate when hungry, almost always hungry. Oh, I don't like those bubbles. Okay. And specialized olfactory antenna employed. Okay, second pair of eyes, orally developed tail fin, try not to believe. Bone shark. A large and powerful predator that lives in small groups and fiercely defends its hunting ground. Thick armored exoskeleton suggests a defensive adaptation either to larger predators or in-species aggression. Marked with similar to segmented exoskeletons of the sand shark, suggests relative recent common ancestry. Large eyeballs, consistent with high light sensitivity, likely for hunting of luminescent prey in low light environments. Generally slow and unresponsive as a means of energy conservation, They will act with uncompromising speed and aggression against any that threaten into their territory. Avoid. May be distracted by light sources. That's good to know. Crab. This life form appears to be in symbiosis with the local flora. All encountered species have been located within 50 meters of jelly shroom flora, frequently within plants themselves. Jaws. Crab snakes have 2 pairs of fangs, one larger claw and one larger claw on either side. Oh, those are claws. Okay. It plunges these claws into prey, locking them in place while the inner jaw tears through the flesh. Ouch. Jelly shrooms provide a perfect lair from which to ambush prey and protect their young. The presence of the crab snakes likely deters herbivores from feeding on the jelly shroom itself, thus ensuring the relationship continues. Behavior. Crab snakes display territorial behavior when threatened, patrolling the cave systems in which they reside. Avoid. Crashfish. Mesmer. God, I hate these. Small carnivorous life form with a unique hunting mechanism that enables it to hypnotize its foe. What was that sound? The mesmer swims using a number of wings which can be angled up and forwards on approaching its prey. Tiny lenses on the surface can be tilted independently, creating a mesmerizing patterns which flood the victim's brain with enticing messages interpreted in whatever form is most convenient by the target. The mesmer can open its jaw-like recesses in its protective outer layer in order to share its beauty, do not resist. Draw closer. Oh, that's good. Docker. Warper. Herbivores. Large. Gastropods. Slow-moving life form, and one of the larger herbivores on the planet. Providing a substantial meal to would-be predators, gastropod protects its domain by filling the surrounding water with poisonous and corrosive pods, which contains dissolvent even to synthetic fibers. Wow. Filtration system. A thick, non-reactive skin and multiple gill layers renders this creature impervious to the toxic clouds it produces. Ooh. Adrenal gland. A bulbous sac-like appendage at the rear end. A luminescent yellow algae. Oh, it's algae, not algae gland. Sorry. Yellow algae grows inside the sac and produces poisonous compounds. Abdominal muscles can contract, causing the algae gland to emit the noxious compound into the surrounding water. Large pelvic fin, powerful movement, behavior, appears to be social in nature and may even use their emissions in their relationship rituals. Their audio calls are likely signifiers of their nearby threats or foods. Approach with caution. Acidic pods may be retrieved and repurposed. Jelly ray. This species has adapted to low-light environments with translucent, luminescent body. This adaptation may help light up the surrounding area for foliage, warding away predators, and identifying the organism of its own kind. Light sensitivity. Smaller creatures have been seen swimming in the light ray's wake to take advantage of the light source. Oh god. That's what that thing was? It was a crab? Oh. Just a second. Okay. So first off, second off, crab squid. Holy crap, this is a terror-inducing thing. This large predator can be found in deep waters where it lurks amongst the budding kelp and membrane trees in search of prey. It can deploy powerful electromagnetic pulses to defend itself. Limbs. 10 limbs feature different appendages for swimming, walking, hunting, and possibly even tool use. Creatures caught in its grasp are expertly butchered and quickly consumed. Behavior. Rays and other illuminated herbivores are usually its prey. It will approach and attack any light source in its vicinity. CMP blast is likely developed as a response to predation by creatures with electrical hunting mechanism. Intelligence. While crab squids appear to have large brains and a resemblance to intelligent squids of Earth, the organ inside the creature's head is in fact its stomach, which it must fill with startling regularity. Neutralizes electrical equipment, light attracts unwanted attention. Oh, okay. Cuttlefish. A small gray-colored herbivore. Cuttlefish displays high levels of intelligence, curiosity, and attachment. Strangely, this species has not been encountered in the wild, and the scanned specimen has been identified to hatch within an alien containment. Life cycle. In the absence of wild specimens, little can be known of this about the cuttlefish's life cycle. It is possible that the environment conditions have changed, forcing the species into the edge of extinction, leaving its eggs in permanent stasis. It is also possible that the cuttlefish has been genetically altered, or even appointed to 4546b from another world. Behavior. We do know that the cuttlefish is a herbivore, which displays highly social behaviors in its interspecies interactions, as well as was observed in Earth dolphins before their extinction. This creature seems to understand the concept of other minds, the prime indicator of true sentience, and attempts to communicate with a series of chirps and cheeps and chirps. Okay. Interaction. Evidence suggests that the cuttlefish is capable of understanding and following simple commands, in addition to assessing the emotional state of an individual around it and responding in kind. Assessment. Emotional connection between living creatures is an essential component of psychological health. That is actually completely true. Rabbit ray. A herbivorous. It's a herbivore. Rabbit rays appear to live in serene and solitary lives, with few predators, a natural sense of curiosity, and awesomely poisonous flesh. Ears. 2 white appendages mounted on the head sense vibration in the water. Underlying wings. Markily remarkably, you wanted to say remarkably similar method of transportation to that of Earth. Yeah, you wanted to say remarkably, not markably. Whatever. Zero genetic resemblance detected, suggesting these two species independently developed similar situations to their environmental circumstances. Interesting. Yeah. Evidence indicates its large side-facing eyes are relatively recent adaptations. It is likely they are related to ray species in other environment biomes on the planet. Inedible, but harmless. Okay, I'm a little worried now that I know about these creatures. I'm taking you. And you. And you. Okay. I'll get more eggs later. That is creepy. Herbivores. Small. Ladder fish. Cool. Boomerang. Herbivore encountered in large numbers. Found to frequent shallow waters and moving. Serrated teeth. For grinding corals of other herbivores are unable to digest. Twin fins. Unusually, the species' two fins are... Oh, okay. They are less prone to damage and provide superior propulsion, but they are also harder to grow back. The bright blue tips are in fact the ends of its digestive tract, where the luminescence of the coral consumes is most focused, i.e., that's where it shits from. Most active during the daylight hours, prone to flee on approach. Boomerang can more easily observed at night when its luminescence give it away and it seeks shelter on the seabed. Aye. An extreme evolution adaptation where 90% of the life form's biomass is dedicated to ocular cavity. Oversized eyeball. A deep sea rings in the lens suggests the specialization for identifying its predator in low light environments, long before they get within attack range. Underdeveloped fins. Incapable of fast movement, this species is vulnerable to agile predators at close range. Shark species may have evolved hunting techniques to close in on eyes unseen from above, below, or behind. This organism and the common peeper share a common evolutionary ancestor. While the eye has sacrificed mobility, it shares and enhances its cousin's powerful eyesight. The ancestry alpha peeper may have been one of the first life forms on this planet to develop eyesight, and many millions of years ago. Edible, low-calorie. Scary fish, slow-moving, and curious herbivore. Camouflage indicates adaptation or evasive behavior on the sea floor. Eye socks may be beneficial for watching predators from hiding places amongst the coral. Behavior more active during the day, but slow and docile at all times. Excuse me. The Gary fish's survival depends on a combination of camouflage and predators who can get a more filling meal elsewhere. Bullfish. A very small herbivore found in low numbers, often around cave systems and entrances where their skin coloration blends into the background. Bored out tail fin. By manipulating the size and shape of the hole in its tail, it can perform unpredictable maneuvers. Size. Smaller than most other herbivores, presumably due to the lack of vegetation in low light areas. Cool. Hoop fish. A small, school mentality prey fish with a unique mentality of unique method of propulsion and a distinct relative of the bladderfish. Antenna. Rather than swimming, this life form uses fine green antenna which encircles its body to alter the compression of the water in front of it, allowing it to sail into the lower density space created. That's weird, but sure. Alright, fine. Blue-green coloration. Maybe a color camouflage adaptation for mid-range light wavelengths, possibly indicating the hoopfish is more active at dawn and dusk. Okay. Behavior. While schools of hoopfish will form periodically and evade predators en masse, this behavior is more social than it is defensive. A lone hoopfish is often found hunting for food and displaying generally curious behavior. Okay, there we go. The hoverfish. A small, curious herbivore commonly found in kelp-rich environments. Charged footpads. Six unique limb appendages feature charged pads capable of ionizing surface water. The hoverfish uses this ability to maintain its position against the current as it feeds from the kelp, whatever. But still, that's really weird. Okay, Oculus. This specimen shares genetic similarities with the common people. While the shallows and the cave systems separate just a few meters of rock, the foodstuffs and threats in each biome are completely different. It is possible a small school of peepers was once cut off from the caves. The Oculus species is how they adapt. Highly developed night vision. Large, complex eyeballs provide the herbivore superior vision in the dark, and an intense phobia of light. Well, duh. Lack of a beak. While the peeper uses its beak to break down tough corals, the Oculus likely feeds on softer fungal growths from the jelly shrimp caves, thus no need for one. Separated tail fin. The caves in which the Oculus lives make it hard to escape from fast predators. The Oculus is adapted by splitting its tail fin into 5 separate tendrils. These tendrils prevent it from swimming as fast as the shallow water cousin, but each can be attached and regrow, enabling it to escape more easily when caught. Cool. Peeper. It developed the side-facing eye, the beak, expulsion tubes, Reginald. A small herbivore, a distant relative of the common peeper, sharing its species' well-developed side-facing eye, approximate size, and body profile. Coloration. Dull green coloration for deep water camouflage. A luminescent tail coloration likely part of mating behavior. Diet. Filters algae and other plant material from the water via 4 gill-like forward-facing orifice. Oh, so that's what the... Okay. High calorie content. Spadefish. Thing. Medium-sized herbivore found in deep waters. Singular eye. Observed swimming near the seabed, where it can keep its one eye on predators in the water above. Malted green coloration. Commonly encountered in plant-rich environments, the spadefish is well adapted to hide amongst vegetation. Behavior. Spadefish tend to move in lost socials and despite their low speed, will take necessary measures to avoid confirmed predator. Lionfish. Oh, not one of these. Small school mentality prey fish closely related to the hopefish. Gray coloration. Combination of near translucent flesh with white rib-like markings give the fish a deathly appearance. It takes advantage of this to avoid attention of its predator. Behavior. Moves in schools for protection, but will disperse and flee if necessary. Whereon those fortunate enough to escape the gaze of their assailants will make to the sea floor and hide amongst the debris. Okay. Leviathan. The reefback. The thing that we've been listening to this entire episode. This vast life form is in excess of 30 meters long and is designated the Leviathan class. Fortunately, it feeds exclusively on plankton-like life forms in the water. Chitinous shell. Most of the life form's topside and some of its underside is protected by a thick, layered exoskeleton. This suggests evolutionary path quite different from other organisms, most of which are vertebrate in nature. Effectively, this is a giant freaking bug. The reefback species is likely have the ability to grow far larger than other herbivores because anything large enough to break through its shell has long since gone extinct. Enzyme pods. Similar to appearance as algae glands of the gastropods, these organs on the reefback's underside serve some unknown purpose in its digestive system, and are capable of expelling small quantities of its stomach enzymes into the surrounding waters. Okay. Local microbiome. An array of different barnacle and plant species grow on the reefback shell, thrusting their roots into the ancient scars in the chitin, and taking advantage of their mobility to avoid predation. Nonetheless, reefbacks will often be pursued by faster, hungrier herbivores, and thus this Leviathan species is a mobile microbiome worthy of years of study in and of itself. Life cycle. Reefback's lifespan is likely extended through many centuries, should they survive their initial growth cycle. For this few decades, similar for their smaller size, would make them vulnerable to carnivorous leviathans. Sociable, even traveling in small pods, communicating through echoing calls. Behavior coincides with low-level sentience. Assessments: harbors plants, small fish, and mineral-rich barnacles. Now we get into the last things that are here. Scavengers and parasites. Ancient floaters. The biodata suggests the vast floaters have mutated into indigenous symbiosis with the land they have attached to. They have attached the attached landmass is risen up in the water, increasing sunlight and encouraging plant growth. As old plants decay, residues and nutrients seep into the rock and are consumed by the floater. Oh. The circumstances which must have held for thousands of years for a floater to reach this size. Life cycle. Immature floaters are born near the surface, from where they sink into the seabed, attaching to any suitable surface they find on the way. Those individuals fortunate enough to attach to digestible nutrient source will grow in size, thus increasing their buoyancy and drawing whatever they attach closer to the surface. In extreme circumstances, a number of floaters may attach to a Leviathan-class life form, forcing it to the surface and effectively asphyxiating it. The body will be consumed over a number of months until it eventually dissolves, leaving the floaters free to attach to a new host. Oh, that's what my other series is doing. Whoopsie! Those creatures successful enough to raise a landmass to the surface are rewarded with a bludgeoning and permanent food supply, allowing them to finally reproduce and begin the cycle again. Wow. That is something else right there. A freaking... The ancient floater is actually the inevitable conclusion to the life cycle of the floater. And my other series has literally been making these things. Jeez, they've just been literally making them eat these fish that have been attaching them to. Bleeder. Oh. A simple parasitic life organism, a little more complex than a common space tick, but just as dirty. Ductic sac, used for collection and digestion of blood drawn from its host jaws. Row of teeth and mandibles used to attach to the skin of its victims. Behavior. Breeders' low speed and poor defenses suggest they have evolved primarily as carrion feeders, i.e. dead. But they are also prone to target larger living creatures, which are less likely to notice and take action against these parasites. Inconvenient and unhygienic. Avoid or incapacitate. How about I kill him? Cave crawler. Agile, territorial carrion feeder. Well adapted to both land and sea. Gas exchange membrane. Absorbs essential gases from the air or water for basic body regulation. Oh, that's not an eye? Oh, okay. This species seeks out corpses with its, in packs, before defending its claim while corpses devour. Necessary waste recycler, avoid or incapacitate. Floater. Two species of living in symbiosis, which attach to and attempt to feed on any object they come in contact with. The dominant life form. The pink main body and the inner section of the jaw is the dominant creature. Once attached to an organism or other suitable surface, it will attempt to leach nutrients in order to grow. Microorganism membrane. The outer gel-like substance, the mesh of microorganisms capable of forming a sealed vacuum around the creature's jaw. Helium buffer. A thin layer of helium is stored within the outer membrane, providing buoyancy to the floater and anything it's attached to. May aid in flotation of sunken objects. Rock grub. I got a scan of this in a prior episode. Like only one of it. A small, luminescent scavenger, roughly thumb size. This creature may be a distinct relative of the sand shark, sharing that species' unusual limbs, segmented exoskeleton, and burrowing behavior. Jaw. A circular set of teeth is designed to tear up clumps of coral and seagrass caught on the rocks. 5 legs, 2 arms, and 1 large flipper allow the rock grub to cling to and walk across rock surfaces in search of food, and swiftly swim to safety when under attack. Green luminescence. Glowing green in the dark would seem like a poor survival strategy, but this adaptation may be a mating behavior or other specialized process, engaging in by only a fraction of the total population at any one time, or perhaps being eaten is simply part of the rock grub's life cycle. Harmless. Scutterbug. A common scavenger at the base of the food chain. Mouthparts small enough for be a little threat to most organisms. This creature is clearly adapted to feed on the waste products of the ecosystem around it. Remembrance. Used to orient themselves while drifting and filter through stuff on cave floors. 3 legs, high-strength muscles can propel the life form great distances through the water, as well as abundantly them across this. Or I'm obviously mispronouncing up here. Necessary waste recycler presence may indicate nearby cave system. Oh, okay. And that is it. We managed to hatch all 3 of the eggs because I took absolutely forever to that. Okay, that's interesting. Apparently you cannot charge your stuff while swimming around. There you go. More than likely next episode will feature just after this one, so if you happen to have sat through my entire reading thing, I am very thankful for that.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
But chances are you didn't, so regardless, I will see you in the next episode. Until then, have fun, be safe, and aloha.